TGO, Tom Gruenwald Outdoors, is brought to you by HT, premium ice tackle since 1974. Polar Fire Gear, this is how it's done. Tourism Saskatchewan, Canada's best freshwater fishing. Vexilar, ice fishing begins when you turn your Vexilar on. Kalispell, Montana, discovery in every direction. And these other fine sponsors.
Hello everyone and welcome to Tom Gruenwald Outdoors. I'm Tom Gruenwald and today we're in the beautiful state of Alaska. And I'm with my good friend George Crum from Fish Alaska magazine. Welcome to TGO.
Hey, welcome to Alaska, Tom. Good to have you here.
This is really an exciting opportunity. This is a huge state. There's an unbelievable amount of water and we're on a large lake here in the Mat-Su Valley and we're going to have an opportunity to fish for one of the native species, Arctic char. Where do we begin?
You know, when I first started fishing out here, I didn't have a clue. What I typically do nowadays is I study bathymetric charts. You can get a bathymetric chart for most of the lakes here in South Central Alaska online at the Department of Fish and Game website. So I look at those and I'm looking for structure. Typically, I'm looking for something that transitions from shallow water to deep water rather abruptly, sometimes to water as deep as 60 feet. Other times I'm looking for more subtle drops, and in this case, we're fishing a big underwater island, a big hump, if you will, that normally you can't see, and you won't know it's here unless you run it over it with your sonar or see it on the chart. So we started out on top of this big underwater island. We drilled holes from shallow to deep, and we'll basically cover that water, trying to figure out where the fish are.
Now, these are in the salmon and trout family, so I imagine their habits are somewhat similar to lake trout while we're fishing these. So depth-wise, top of this is about 10 feet. We're going down into 50 feet of water. Should I be focusing on the bottom? Do these fish suspend? Where should we try to work them?
If we're fishing in water less than 30 feet deep, the fish will typically be close to the bottom. In fact, you may have your lure off the bottom a few feet. The fish will usually appear below the lure. If we're fishing in water deeper than 30 feet, sometimes the fish will suspend, especially as you get out into the 50 or 60 foot range. Sometimes in those depths, I'll be fishing near the bottom, but I'll see schools of bait fish or other fish that pass through on my Vexilar, and I'll quickly wind up to those fish and sometimes nail a fish that's suspended well off the bottom.
Okay, and what size can we expect to catch Arctic char?
20 pounds.
Okay.
The average fish here is about 2.5, maybe 3 pounds.
Okay.
Fish up to 7 or 8 pounds are not uncommon, but you will have to work for those. You don't catch those every day.
I'm excited. Let's get started.
All right, Tom.
Okay, let's go, George. Thanks again.
Yeah.
All right.
Got him.
Finally got one coming in, huh?
Yeah,
Suspended?
Didn't feel very big, but I brought the jig up to about 10 feet off the bottom and jigged a couple times and he showed up.
So you switched off from the spoon to the tube and then you got a little activity there. Well,
Yeah.
That's not a bad fish.
Maybe not.
Huh?
We'll find out shortly, huh?
You know, George, sometimes it's hard when they're really down on the bottom and you know, they don't do a whole lot until you start moving them up a little.
Yep.
Excellent. Oh yeah.
He might have a little weight.
Well, this hole, you've had quite a bit of activity though. You marked a couple of fish, had a bump, and then bang, you hit that tube. Nice.
It's feeling better now. There's
the swivel.
about got him. Haven't seen him yet. It's a char though.
Well, you
Saw a
just
flash.
get everything out of the way here so we can get him.
He must be decent because he's hard to get in the haul.
No, just take your time. Enjoy the fight.
Tell you what, I like this rod. It's a good rod for a 4-inch tube, I'll tell you that.
You got that 42 inch or you got 36 inch there?
I'll tell you in a second.
Worry about that after you catch your fish, right?
Here I'm just using my thumb for a drag. I'm not using anything else.
You know, he's using that little mini bait cast reel, which doesn't have any level wind or anything on it. There's really no drag system, just spool tension. And he's using his thumb to control the drag, let the fish go back and forth. And it's working out great for him. It is nice to have that precise control. It's like feathering your spool on a spinning reel or back reeling.
Getting close.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's not quite ready yet.
This looked like a green phase char. You get a look at him yet?
All I saw was a flash of a tail. I don't want to put my head over the hole on you.
There we go.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Yeah, that's beautiful, isn't it? Like
They
that?
are pretty, aren't they? Just look at the golden colors on that fish. Nice job. Wow.
Let's get some more bigger ones.
You gotta start somewhere, and that's a pretty fish. Excellent. Broke the ice.
That was sweet. Let's do it again.
Oh, you got it. Let's get a bigger one.
Go fishing. TGOfishing.com. There you go.
Yeah.
You know, that was funny. I actually set the bait down. I set the rod down. It was sitting steady. Put it right off the bottom, and all of a sudden, I saw a fish come, and he followed that thing up
Char.
and smacked
nice
it.
Nice fish.
Smacked it. This is where that long rod really comes in handy now, because you can lift the fish, and I can just lower the rod and keep tension on that fish. And you see, it's not a real stiff rod like you might think you want to use for these larger fish. Oh, that's a nice one. Yeah. There we go. Thanks, George.
Yeah. Here we go again. I don't want him to hit the ice.
No. Try not to hurt the fish. No, that came up, and he really, you saw him just zip, 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 and I was about, 6 feet off the bottom because it was on that auto zoom. Just before it disappeared out of that 6-foot auto zoom, the fish came up and hit it.
Yeah, nice job, Tom. It was fun to watch that on the sonar and not be the one holding the rod.
It's fun anyway when you get any kind of an aggressive fish coming up on the sonar, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now there are several different presentations we've been using for these fish, and this one here we can just take a little look at that. Just look at the color. We'll let her go, and then we'll talk about what we're using here.
Sure.
Just the pretty, the pinks and the reds on the fins,
Even
the
on the
marks
tail.
on the side here. Yep, and almost a golden color across the gill plates and the head. They're just gorgeous. And boy, did they fight. Going the wrong way there, Mr. Char.
That's what I get.
Greeted you when you left.
Let's learn something. Time for a TGO tackle tip.
I want to show you the systems that we're using here. We're using a little bit longer rods. These are HT Sapphire Ice, between 32 and 42 inches long, and we like the longer rods, a little more sweep, a little more control over the presentation and fighting fish. And what's nice about these is they have a little slower action, meaning a little more bend throughout the rod. And when you get these head shakes and these char doing all the circles and the fighting, especially up near the hole, this just helps to maintain a tight line. You still got plenty of power for setting the hook and fighting the fish, but you get that little bit of extra bend. That softness is helpful. Also, we have the longer handle. Longer handle's nice when you do get these bigger fish and they're really fighting hard. You can kind of rest that longer handle underneath your forearm. It just takes a little bit of pressure off your wrist, a little more comfortable to fish with. In addition, we're using a braided line here, and the advantage to the braided line is that it's non-stretch. So you're going to feel your baits better, you're going to get more solid hook sets, and you can control your presentation and your fish a little bit better. Also, we're using a fluorocarbon leader, and George is recommending a longer one, 3 feet or even a little bit longer in this case here, and I'm using a barrel swivel to attach a fluorocarbon leader. And what's nice about that is this is nearly invisible under the water to the fish, and at the same time it's thinner, 8 or 10 pound test line, so you get good control of your presentation. You can really work your baits, especially when you use some of these smaller presentations, and this would be something that's a lot more on the small side of what George normally fishes. This is a lot of the bait fish in here. The smaller salmon are 3 to 4 inches long, but since these fish haven't been real super active, I downsized a little bit. I'm using a dual lock snap on the split ring here, and that just helps to get a lot of action. I can get a lot of motion and flash off of this lure. Also, I'm using this Jigga Whopper Hogger spoon, which has a rattle chamber in it, and by using that combination of the dual lock snap and the split ring, I can really rock that lure in place and finesse it a little bit and just really take advantage of that rattle. By law here, we have to use a single hook. I've got about a number 4 Siwash hook on this particular one. And George is recommending on some of those longer 3 and 4 inch flutter spoons, he's going up to about a number 1 or a number 1/0. So kind of some unique presentations here. But so far, so good. The char like this one. There he is.
Sweet.
Last time I didn't get the hook in him very well.
Oh, that looks like it's got a little power. Which rod are you using?
This is the 32-inch.
Is it the light or the medium?
This is a medium, so yeah, he's
a nice
putting a
rod.
nice little bend in there. He got kind of caught up on the transducer, but I got him off, so I think we're all right.
Oh, it's a burbot, big burbot.
Cool.
Nice big burbot.
Well, people, you know, they make fun of these fish, but I'll tell you what.
Well, I like them.
Fun.
They are, and you know, I like to fish for fish that are predators, and the burbot is not, they'll scavenge, but they're a predator in this lake. I've caught them with as many as a dozen of those little juvenile salmon, and they're lighten up on the tension so we don't break them off.
Okay. There you go.
What do you think of that?
I say, everybody laughs at them. Call it what you will. It's a freshwater cod, and they're called ling. They're called burbot. They're called freshwater cod. They're
Eel pout,
eel pout,
lawyer fish.
lawyers. Yep, call them what you will, but they're an incredible predator and typically very, very aggressive. Now the sun's still up pretty high, so it's kind of interesting that we caught one here. But I'll tell you what, you get a few of these starting to move in as it gets dark, and we might end up with a whole bunch of these things. Just look at the dorsal fin on this fish. Look how long that is. A lot of times you catch these, and if you hold them, they'll start wrapping their tail around your arm. This is really a pretty color. He's dark.
Yeah.
Dark color.
Well, you'll see that the big lake burbot typically are colored just like this. When we go out to Lake Louise, in that area, the burbot are colored a little bit differently.
They're not pretty, but they're fun.
They do pull hard.
They pull hard.
Pull pretty hard.
And a lot of people, too, they're afraid, well, can you eat them? Absolutely.
Yeah, they eat good.
They're actually very good, and especially out of this cold water.
Yep.
We'll put this one back in, I guess, huh?
Yeah, put them back. Let's catch another one.
All right.
See you, fish.
There you go, the burbot.
Tom, here we go.
Might be disdained by some, but I love it.
I do too. I'll catch them all day and be happy.
More fishing action online at tgofishing.com.
You know, a little while ago, Tom talked about one of the techniques that we use to catch these Arctic char using spoons. Another technique that we commonly use here is the use of tubes. Specifically, tubes in the 3 to 4 inch range we tend to use an awful lot, like this white one here. Because Big Lake is a no bait and no scents lake, we can't use scented or salted tubes. So I commonly buy these from Canyon Plastics. This is just a plain white 3.75 inch tube. We also use them in glow, especially as the light levels start to get low. And pearl white with silver flake, or just plain pearl white, works really good. Now the way that we rig these is important. I don't like using real heavy jig heads. I want the tube to fall slowly, and I also don't want the tube to simply corkscrew up and corkscrew down. I want it to have a more random action as it falls especially. So what we do is we rig the jig head a little bit farther back from the end of the tube. The jig head is a typical tube jig head. The hook size on this one is a 2/0, I believe, 1/8 ounce jig head. It's lighter than a lot of people use, but that's part of what allows the jig to wander, especially as you're letting it fall. So it's real simple to rig these things. You simply, I'll go in reverse. Imagine the line is not on here. I jam this thing up into the tube and eyeball about how far back I want it to poke through. And then I just pop the eye of the hook through the tube, and that'll allow the tube to wander a little bit more rather than just corkscrew. This tube works really good for Arctic char. It also works really good for the incidental burbot that we run into out here, as well as lake trout and other lakes.
There's still a couple of fish down there, too. There he is. He came back. All right. Woo! That's a nice fish.
Oh, maybe this is your big one.
I got a good one here, yeah. This one's got some weight, George.
Is he circling or is he
He's still
running?
staying down.
Might be a big burbot too, but it could be a big char.
Came up high though. I don't know, you get a burbot to come 6-7 feet off the bottom, you think?
Usually not 6 or 7. They'll definitely come 3 or 4 though. And remember, in the real deep water, sometimes I catch them 30 feet off the bottom.
Just gonna kind of let it tire itself out a little, as long as it wants to stay down there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to risk getting that thing too close here. And yeah, still a little green.
It looks like it's got some weight too.
It does. I mean, compared to the last couple fish.
It's either going to be a bigger than average Arctic char or a good sized burbot.
It's doing the head shake.
That looks like char there.
More like a char, but yeah.
If it is, it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I tell you what, it came up. He came up. He chased it, and whoa, this is a nice fish. I can use that long handle on my forearm on this one.
Yeah. I'm just dying to peer down that hole. You haven't seen
I haven't gotten. I'm just
there's a
getting to the swivel now, so he should be getting tired.
Oh, it's a big char. Big char. Big one. This is what you've been looking for.
Yeah, it's a good fish.
Can you see him down there?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Make sure your drag is loose here.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it.
It's a nice fish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be. It's a beautiful fish.
Get the head turned. Whew, boy, do they fight, George.
And when they start getting in the mid-20s, they fight like a nice lake trout, only they're faster, I think. And better to get him, wear him out a little so he's not so green in the surface. Here he comes.
If I get the head turned.
Oh, he's got some orange and big fins. Remember I told you?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
More fishing action online at tgofishing.com.
Oh, he's got some orange and big fins. Remember I told you?
Oh my goodness, yeah.
There we go. Look at the pectoral fins.
Oh my goodness, look how big that is.
That's what we're after. Yeah.
I gotta reach for a tape measure on that just to see how long it actually is. Go on this side a little bit.
It's about 26 maybe.
26 inches. Yeah, look at the orange on the snout.
And on the belly.
Oh, that's pretty. It got that it's almost like that salmon pink and the spots on that. Wow.
Yeah, and that's a male there.
This is a male, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I can't imagine what it's like when you get one of those really big females.
Or look at the size of the pectoral fins.
It's giant. Can you see that pectoral fin he's mentioning there? Sticking out. I turned it a little bit here sideways so it's sticking up.
That's a beautiful fish. Wow. That's what we're after. Wow. That's what we're after.
Well, when you catch a char like this in Alaska, there's only one thing to say. Nothing beats ice fishing. Nothing. Oh, let's get this one back in.
Yeah, let's give him a drink for sure.
All right.
Off you go, buddy.
Boy, that's nice. I can only imagine, you say these things, you can get them like 10 pounds?
I caught one time that was about 30 inches and significantly more girth. So they get heavier proportionally.
How in the world do you hang on to your rod when these are so powerful?
Oh yeah, and the bigger they get, the longer the runs that they'll make. I mean, they'll make long runs like lake trout do,
And there he goes.
All right, great job. Good job,
Thank
buddy.
you. Boy, they're so powerful, those head shakes. It's a much different fight than a lake trout. They are quick and they're powerful.
They're very quick as well as being powerful, yep. Hard to keep the line tight without being too tight. It's easy to tear hooks out or if you're using real light stuff to pop leaders.
Yeah, oh, it's amazing. Well, we keep fishing. I don't know if we're gonna beat your 10-pounder. Thanks for your help. That was great. That was a fantastic ice fishing trip. I've always wanted to come up here and ice fish in Alaska, thanks to my good friend George Crum from Fish Alaska magazine. He helped me make that happen. Came up here, fished in this beautiful Matsu Valley. These Arctic char are incredible. They are powerful, powerful fish. Fight extremely hard, lots of fun, beautiful fish. You see those big marks come in and chase these lures, and it makes your heart pound. So I want to thank George Crum for Fish Alaska magazine for coming along and making this happen. I also like to thank Bob Andres from the Fish House. He made it possible, gave us a place to stay, had some great food to eat when we came in off the ice at night. What a trip. And remember, no matter where we go or what we fish for, here on TGO, it's all ice fishing all the time.
TGO has been brought to you by HT, premium ice tackle since 1974. Polar Fire Gear, this is how it's done. Tourism Saskatchewan, Canada's best freshwater fishing. Vexilar, ice fishing begins when you turn your Vexilar on. Kalispell, Montana, discovery in every direction. And these other fine sponsors. TGO, where it's all ice fishing all the time.